on Twitch. Oh, sorry, force of habit. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Let's see, Kaylee the Order Count has joined the stream. Kaylee says hi. Plum and Izutari has joined the stream. I forgot to stream today, reply to Kaylee. Yay, it's story time. Let's see, there we go. Plum says, just imagine you read all the others. Think of it as a filming dress rehearsal. Kaylee too says, I'm on the YouTube stream. Ah, hello there, Kaylee. Can you see me? Do you see my do you see my stream on YouTube? It seems, yeah, according to YouTube, I have one concurrent viewer right now. So hello there, one viewer. Thank you so much for joining. I have Twizzlers, says Neo. Thank you very much, Neo. Oh, what's that? Timestamps. Oh, very nice. That's gonna come in handy. I gotta double task and watch both, replied Izutari. Wow, so Kaylee and Izutari are both joining. Well, so far on YouTube it shows I only have one viewer, so let's see if that'll change in a few seconds. Gotta do double devices. Just me, replied Kaylee. Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. We already have 4 viewers here on Reality. 4 viewers on Reality, 2 viewers. Actually, no, there's still only 1. Neo says, give me a sec. I can't find you on my TV's YouTube. Is it because I'm on a live stream? Maybe perhaps that's why. 1 concurrent viewer, chat rates, views. That's as small as it gets. It's actually a very big thing. Alright then, well, the control panel actually is something I don't necessarily need, so I think I'm actually going to remove that functionality. Give me a sec, replied Neo the Acorn. Neo says, no, will I still be able to find it in a minute? What's the title on YouTube? A ghost reading scary stories to you. 16 plus. That's the full title. Do you think maybe if I put hashtags, it'll be easier to find? Like maybe hashtag storytimes or hashtag scary stories? Kaylee says, I need to be quiet since I chat too much in your streams. Nah, I can find it. Izutari says, I'm watching both, like. Oh, very nice. Also, Kaylee too, I see that you wrote the message that you need to be quiet in the chat because you talk too much. But that's not necessarily true. Last night, I only read 2 stories, but that's mostly because everybody else was chatting as well. So it's not, so when I get distracted by other viewers or by other people wanting to ask me questions, it's not so much because of one individual. It's always because of everybody else. But with that being said, I love the fact that people are engaged. And if we read more stories than others, then that's completely fine. As long as everybody is entertained, that's all that matters here. Let's see here. And there's the chat. Okay, so let's see. Wizard Dofflesy Booyah teleported. Hello there. Let's see if we could get the chat going. Let's see. There's the chat. Let's find the window. The window is... Where is it? Ah, there we go. Oh, wow. That works. Perfect. All right, then. So it seems I have one form of the chat. It's Izutari, sorry. Hello there, Wizard. Wizard is, Izutari is Wizard on YouTube. There we go. So apparently on that one, Kaylee says, I'm gonna be quiet here to everybody. But yes, look at that. We've got a chat section. How lovely. All right. I'm gonna be quiet, everyone, to everybody. Don't worry. We're all going to be just fine here. As long as everybody is respectful and everybody follows the rules, there will be no issues. Also, to those of you who are on YouTube, how's the audio? How's the background sound? Is it too loud, the spooky ambience? And how is the microphone? We have 2 viewers, that's nice. Neo the Acorn says, I'm only going to be talking on the reality chat because I'm on YouTube with a smart TV. Yes, that makes sense. Use the YouTube one so you can have the better audio, but use the reality for, of course, the community. After all, the reality chat is the only chat I ever pay attention to. Izutari says, I never see my comments. LOL. I dropped one of my Twizzlers, replied Neo the Acorn. Oh no. I'm only going to be talking on reality. Let me just get pulled up. YouTube chats don't work as much for me, replied Kaylee 2. Really? YouTube chats don't work for you? I guess there's never the perfect platform, is there? We don't like Twitch because Twitch is glitchy for some, but we also don't like YouTube because YouTube is well, what was the problem? Oh yeah, the chat. The chat for YouTube doesn't work. Well, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. Nah, it's just for me. Kaylee too says I love YouTube. Alright then, well then I guess Kaylee is a strong supporter of YouTube streams over Twitch streams. So who knows, maybe temporarily I'll be streaming on YouTube instead of Twitch. Now, as for everybody else, let's see what kind of stories we are going to be reading tonight. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. Have any of you ever heard the Devil of the Laurel Branch? That one's going to be a little bit of a longer story. I think for a nice warm-up story, we have a lovely childhood story about friends who like to play pranks on each other. If we're feeling more daring, maybe later at night, we'll read a story about a father who started an OnlyFans. And if we're feeling particularly mischievous and, of course, lovely and being a lovely little demon, we could choose something about choosing hell. A story maybe from the Creepypasta webpage. Father's only fan right now. I'ma stay quiet, sorry, replied Kaylee. Just for me, I love YouTube. I'ma stay quiet now. Link to mine is Discord as always, says Plum. Not the OnlyFans, just the sight of it already is scary. And that's right, Plum does have the new episode of the Liminalist inspired series that they've been that they've been writing. I definitely would love to see that too. Kaylee too says it slays. Father OnlyFans right now. Don't worry, we'll probably get to that one. Mostly just because curiosity is getting the best of me for that story. Alright then, let's see, what kind of story should we start with today? Just for a warm-up, a nice little warm-up story definitely sounds like a good idea, don't you agree? Let's see, oh, what's this? That one could be good. Let's see, can that one be refreshed? Nope, definitely not that one. There we go. Yippee, replied Kaylee. Plum says, I messed up using long stories. I need to do research upon lengths. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, mostly the big reason why I can't read long stories is because, one, it's typically late at night for me and I won't be able to stay awake. But also, two, it doesn't, a lot of people tend to either fall asleep or click away when I read too long of a story. So I like to retain my audience. But that's also why I always try to find the best stories that would fit those dynamics. Please look at the IRL pictures on Discord. Really, Neo? Why is that? Is there something you want to show me? IRL pictures. Liminalist is on TV. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? Yes, that is me. How lovely. Neo the Acorn is here. Thank you, Neo the Acorn. Thank you for liking the stream. You've been here. Why do I say that? Also, I saw your dagger. I saw the paint job that you did. That is very lovely. Well done. Great craftsmanship. And let's see. I think Non-Demar is going to be the only one. Everything else is just a bit too long. Unless you want to hear the eerie history of London's Hippodrome. Have you ever wanted to hear about creepy places and exciting haunted areas? If you live in London, there's definitely a new place you should look up. So, how about we start with the friend who likes to pull pranks? Now I got two Liminalists reading to me. And I also personally think ghosts are only able to come out at certain times of the night. Yeah, that too. But my hours are going to be much limited, so I'm actually going to be changing my hours as well. So for the next few weekends, I'm going to be streaming, but it's going to be randomly throughout the day, sometime in the morning. So if you want to find out when that happens, I guess we're going to find out together. Because starting tomorrow, I'm going to be streaming in a morning sense. So it's going to be a good morning Scary Time story tells. Or at least it's going to be morning on my point of view. So we're going to see how that works. We're going to experiment with new time zones just so we could see what time would be most ideal for everybody else. Sporadic stream days, replied Neo. Yes, that's a good way to do it. A ghost in the daylight? Yes, of course. Of course a ghost in the daylight. I'm gonna miss streams, replied Kaylee. Yep, sorry, but that's just the month of October. When I get back to November, everything should be back to normal. Izutari says I got my notifications on. I am ready. And Neo, the Acorn, says it's almost 1 in the morning for me. Oh, wow. Okay, then. Well, then hopefully maybe this changing will help you as well. Let me pull up the rules real quick. There we are. All right, then. So, while I'm reading the story once again, I won't be able to read the comments. So if you have any questions or a comment you really want me to see, please wait until after I finish reading the story before you send it. Also, while I'm reading, please do not spam in the chat like that individual did yesterday. And please do not roleplay in the chat, for it distracts viewers and it makes the comment section harder to read. Also, lastly, please keep the chat PG, and let's just remain civil, calm, and enjoy the vibe, while we all just listen to some scary stories, relax, and enjoy each other's company. Do not pull pranks in the chat, guys, replied Plum. Indeed so. Quite true, and well said, Plum. All right, then. Then I believe we are all set to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons. Without further ado, this first story is called My Friend Liked to Play Pranks, but I Wish He Had Stopped After He Died. Written by Bongo Bongo's Revenge. And found in the No Sleep subreddit. Neo is asking, do you have your tea? Not today. Today I'm going to be drinking a nice cool glass of water. Louis has always been the class clown. I had known him since elementary school, and he never failed to make me laugh, albeit at the expense of somebody else. Itching powder, thumbtack on the teacher's chair, electric hand buzzers, etc., etc. As we got older, his pranks got nastier. Once a teacher gave him an F on a big test, and in retaliation he broke into their car and smeared fish guts under the floor mats. They could never get that smell out eventually. And eventually, he got rid of the car. A few months ago, we had our prom and we went to a party afterwards. I'm not too experienced with drinking, and I was pretty trashed after a few beers and shots. But Lewis kept going and going until he suddenly seemed to have disappeared from the party. It turns out he had locked himself in one of the upstairs bathrooms and ended up dying from alcohol poisoning that night. Following a wake his family had held for him, me and his friends George and Travis got together to hang out and talk about the good times we all had shared. Then, Travis pulled a Ouija board out of his backpack. "Come on, don't you want to talk to Lewis again, guys?" he said. I wasn't too big on the idea, but everybody else was really into it, and I eventually relented. We formed a circle around the board and placed our fingertips on the planchette. "Are there any spirits here?" I asked. Then the planchette began to move. G, E, T, F, U, C, K, E, D. Oh, come on, guys, who did that? I was cut off by the planchette violently jerking our hands letter to letter. L, E, T, M, E, G, O. Let me go? I, W, A, S, A, T, R, E, S, T. I was addressed? The lights in the room suddenly began to brighten and fade like someone was playing with the dimmer switch. Then suddenly, I felt the temperature drop in the room until I could see my breath. I was at rest. We all had pulled our hands off of the planchette, but it was still moving around all by itself, sliding from letter to letter, seemingly guided by some otherworldly force. The lights got bigger and brighter until the bulbs overhead exploded and we were plunged into the darkness. I heard Travis scream and I pulled up the flashlight on my phone where the planchette had firmly lodged itself into its throat, and he was now sputtering and gurgling on his back. We called an ambulance for him and he's ended up being okay. But that was just the start of the heinous shit that would follow. The next morning I woke up and I went to the bathroom to pee. Peeing out of one groggy eye, I aimed for the center of the bowl, but some magical force stopped my urine from hitting the water, and then it splattered all over the seat and the floor. What? I thought out loud as I lifted the seat to find that somebody had put saran wrap over the bowl. I lived alone with my mother. I knew that she could never do any of this. And then it hit me. Lewis had pulled this very prank at me at a sleepover that we had years before. Things continued on like this for a few days. I would wake up and find a rubber spider on my chest, or someone had replaced the sugar for my coffee and replaced the sugar with salt for my coffee. And then one day, I went to put on my sneakers on, and I felt a sharp pain and yelped, pulled out my foot, and someone had put a broken piece of glass at the bottom of my shoe. I reached out to Travis and George to see if they have been having similar experiences, and I wasn't ready for what they told me. George told me he had woken up to a loud banging coming from his closet. He grabbed his glasses from the nightstand beside him and quickly shoved them to his face to investigate. He said that he wished he turned on the lights first, because he would have noticed the rusty nail that had been driven through the left frame. It skewered his eye like a shish kebab, and when he tore the glasses off, he ripped the eye right out of the socket. His parents found him in hysterics, his eye hanging from the optic nerve, bouncing off of his cheek like a fleshy paddle ball. Travis had similar stories, but none were as horrific as poor George, who ended up getting his left eye removed and replaced with a glass one. We decided that tomorrow we would get together one more time with the Ouija board and try to talk to Lewis. We met up the next day at Lewis's mother's house. We asked her if we could hang out in our friend's old room for a while. She told us we could. She had some errands to run, so we would be alone for the next couple of hours. I felt the temperature drop once again as we entered Lewis's bedroom. It had been left untouched since his death, except for the urn on his dresser, along with a framed photograph of him next to it that had been taken just weeks before his passing. We set the Ouija board once again up on the foot of his bed. My heart raced as I placed my fingertips on the planchette. "Lewis, are you there?" I called out. Nothing but silence followed. "Lewis!" Travis and George called out to the empty room. I was about to take my fingers off of the board when George's shoelace began to crawl out of his sneakers like ropey little snakes and then wrap themselves around his neck. He tried to get his fingers under them, but to no avail. Travis began backing up from the board and bumped into the dresser, knocking the urn off and sending it to the floor where it smashed into a million pieces. I looked up at Travis and screamed. Behind him, the photograph of Lewis had come alive. It was banging on the glass frame and screaming something at us. George was turning purple on the ground. His eyes were bulging out of his head. His glass eye had popped out and rolled somewhere in the room. I ran over the frame and smashed it onto the corner of the desk. I ran over to the frame and then I smashed the frame. "Lewis, let George go, please." I stared at the photograph of Lewis. He was smiling and laughing. Then he spoke in an unfamiliar deep voice. "Your friend Lewis is dead. Don't you want to join him?" I was shocked. I just stood there frozen behind Travis when I heard the tinkering of broken urn pieces moving around the ground beside us. I looked up just in time to see Lewis's ashes and broken bits of the urn go sailing upwards like a blast from a fire hose. They hit Travis's face and began filling his mouth, ears, and nose until there was nothing left on the ground. Travis began to shake, sputter, before breaking out into convulsions. His belly began expanding until it was almost the size of a beach ball. I started to back away from Travis, but his stomach burst open, sending a mass of streaming entrails to paint the contents of the room. Coughing, I pulled a piece of Travis out of my mouth and realized I was still holding on to the photograph, but Lewis was no longer in it. Disoriented, I tripped over George's now lifeless body. I picked myself up off of the ground and ran to the bathroom to try and wash off the guts that have been all over the room. I began splashing water onto my face, but when I checked the mirror, Lewis was behind me. I spun around, but nobody was there. I threw off my blood-soaked hoodie and then I ran out of the house and down the street. Every car window I glanced into, I could see Lewis's grinning face right behind me. I ran deep into the woods and barricaded myself into a little foxhole. I'm prepared to starve myself to death before facing whatever entity is pretending to be Lewis. A day had passed now since this all happened. My phone battery is almost dead, and I wanted to post this to explain to everybody what happened to my friends while I have the chance. I can see my reflection in my phone's screen. I could also make out Lewis's face right behind mine. If I die, there's nobody left for Lewis. Nobody except for you, who is reading this. I hope you don't have access to a Ouija board. That was My Friend Liked to Play Pranks, but I Wish He Had Stopped After He Died. Written by Bongo Bongo's Revenge, and found in the No Sleep subreddit. Well, what did you all think of that one? Oh, I actually never adjusted myself. There we are. Much better. Neo the Acorn says, I used Ouija boards before, but it doesn't work. Adele has joined the stream. Hello there, Adele. Neo the Acorn says, Snick. And Leah has joined the stream. Hello there, Leah. Kaylee says, sorry, I have to leave for a bit. Neo the Acorn then says, I think it's funny I was subscribed to the YouTube channel before I started watching him on reality. I think that's quite funny too, because yes, I usually never get that the other way around. Usually reality is the one that everybody knows me from, and YouTube is the one that nobody cares about. I'm just kidding. I do get lots of love from YouTube, but it's just very sad that I've been doing YouTube for almost a year now and I still don't have very many subs. But then again, I have been lacking on the uploading, so that's also my fault. Besides, the 2-sentence horror stories are actually doing quite great. But then again, they're YouTube shorts. YouTube shorts will always get views. Sleep All Day Uno is here. Hello there, Sleep All Day Uno. Neo says ghost magic. Plum is asking, this man's voice became a 15-year-old. How does he do it? Thank you. It's just a lot of practice, playing with my voice and talking to myself. Plum says, get effed, I'm wheezing. Uh-huh. Alright, and let's see. And Adele has joined in. And let's see. Theo says, I used Ouija boards before, but it doesn't work. Yes, for the most part, Ouija boards don't actually do anything. Most of the real cases of people using Ouija boards result in, well, generally nothing happening. Because what happens is, when you use a Ouija board, you actually use a lot of mental psychosis. When you do it right and you turn off all of the lights, you ignite a couple of candles, and you do it with a couple of friends, some who are skeptic and some who are nervous, and all of which who are quite scared, just a slight bit of movement will actually trigger the planchette to move, not because it's moving on its own, but because one is subconsciously doing it themselves. And when one claims not to do it, the other ones will do it as well. Because, let's face it, by design, how are you so surprised that a planchette that every single human is touching with their hands is moving by itself? That shouldn't be surprising at all. The reason it's moving is because someone is moving it. And one could very easily claim that, oh yes, it's moving by itself. It doesn't necessarily mean that a ghost is doing it. If you want a ghost's point of view, we ghosts don't necessarily deal with Ouija boards. They're not necessarily a calling card. When someone is in the afterlife, or so when somebody's passed away, they're not going to be instantly available as soon as one person pulls out a Ouija board. That's also why it's so comedically inaccurate that Hollywood likes to depict Ouija boards as a calling card, being like, I just need a picture or a personal belonging that belongs to the person that you want me to contact. No. Every day, thousands, millions, and just trillions of people die. Every day. Every day people are dying. Do you really think that we're going to be able to keep track of all of them with simple Ouija boards? They need a system for the afterlife there as well. How are we going to know that this call belongs to us? How do we know that we're not calling a different individual with the same first and last name? It's always going to be an issue. That's why it's so comedically inaccurate whenever Hollywood likes to depict Ouija boards as sort of like this one-way ticket that will lead into a connection, and the connection will lead to a portal, and that portal will let anything through, from angels to demons to ghosts. It's very laughable, but it is true. Sometimes Ouija boards do every now and then actually get contacted by a ghost, but let's just say those cases are more rare than people winning the lottery. Now, with that being said, though, how about we do what we've been requested and actually go to the Google Doc for episode 2. So instead of The Little Mermaid, we're going to read Which one's the short story again, Plum? The middle and the last name. There we go. Yeah, thanks, replied Leah. Neo says, no problem. Oh, why is that? There we go. Neo says, it's funny because I'm a spirit medium. Leah says, I just found a dead rat outside. I was going to eat it. That sucks, Leah. Do you want a live one? Yes, thanks. No problem. Plum says, there's 7 billion people on this planet, but it's true, we have one person who has your exact first, middle, and last name. Number 4. The final story is the short one. Perfect. And Levy has joined the stream as well. Hello there, Levy. Thank you so much for joining. And now, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons, are you all ready for the next story? Levi says it's spooky month. Indeed it is, Levi. Are you ready for the next story to begin? Actually, let me do something fun for the YouTube channel. Let's see. Actually, do I have this already? Let me see. I think I should have it already. Bands don't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor. Nope, it's not exactly that. But let's see. There we go. It's story time. Yes, indeed it is. Let's see. That actually looks pretty good. Maybe. We'll set that up for next time, if anything. Alright then, let's read the next story by Plum, shall we? Chapter 4, The Kid and the Camera. Fun fact about this story is actually a video that I've actually seen. Ryan is the owner. You never viewed this file. Open preview. Copy link? Yeah, that should do it. There we go. It's spooky month, replied Levi. Plum says it's story time. Hintana has joined the stream. Hello there, Hintana. Do you like scary stories? By the looks of that comment, it definitely seems that you are. So, let's get started with the final story. Oh, sorry, not the final story, but chapter 4 of the chapter 3. So, let's start with the very beginning. Hello, my lovely little demons. I am the Liminalist, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Storybook. This is a series of scary stories shared from all over the world, from families to friends to neighbors, from cities to states to continents. Here, we will be reading and listening to tales that will send chills down your spine. Tell me, do you like scary stories? Great, let's get started. For this episode, we're going to be listening to creepy origins and tales and bedtime stories that were heavily modified for children. But why do you ask? Well, you'll see soon enough. Story number 4, The Kid and the Camera, is written by Braden Ortiz of Grumbled Entertainment. If you want to have a chance to read these stories for yourself, be sure to check the description below where all the stories will be found. And without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the spooks. Our final tale tonight is going to be a little different. It's a modern story that was written just last year and was shared on an annual horror short film compilation by Night Mind. This is The Kid and the Camera by Grumbled Entertainment. Also, FanReam05 has joined the stream. Hello there, FanReam. Kaylee's asking, did you do the dad with the OnlyFans thing? Nope, that's going to be the last story. That's going to be the grand finale. Thank you for joining, Kaylee. Glad to have you back. Neo says, I'm trying to get the likes to 6,666. Thank you. Oh dear. It was so close, but we got 2 extra. Oh no. Well, I appreciate it anyways. It's a really funny number. All right then. Thank you for the follows, and let's get the rules out. Check. Perfect. Someone ruined it. Yep. But I still very much appreciate it. A for effort. All right then. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons, The Kid and the Camera by Grumbled Entertainment. Once upon a star, there lived a boy named Kalen. He was a happy little kid of 6 years old. On his birthday, he received a very special gift. He got his very own photo camera. Kalen loved it very much. Every day he would take his camera outside and snap random photos of anything he could. A picture here, a picture there, a picture anywhere he liked, a picture of a ball, a picture of a dog, a picture of whatever looked wonderful to take a photo of. That was until one day when Kalen was running outside with his camera. He began snapping photos of trees, and then out of nowhere he accidentally tripped on a very large stick. His camera flew out of his hand, causing it to fall with a thud on the ground. And with that, the camera broke. The following night, Kalen wasn't able to sleep a wink. He was haunted by thoughts of his once perfect camera late in the night. That was when a sudden sound caught his attention. Tap, tap, tap. Kalen bolted awake and looked around his room. His eyes darted to the darkness. He saw nothing there, but then he heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from his window, right beside his bed. He leaned towards it and started to pull back the curtains. There, standing on the other side of his bedroom, on the bedroom window, was a strange and yellow, tall-winged figure.
"Hello there, young lad,"
said the creature. Kalen gasped at the presence staring at him.
Who are you?"
he asked.
"Why, I'm the Kipsneed, your sleep fairy."
Sleep fairy?
"That is correct. My job is to make sure that you get a good night's rest, but it has come to my attention that you haven't been sleeping at all tonight. Would you care to... I would like to know the reason why."
Kalen never heard of a sleep fairy before.
"My parents told me not to talk to strangers,"
he said.
"Strangers?"
said the Kipsneed, chuckling.
"Oh, I'm not a stranger. I know all the girls and boys around the globe. I know their homes, their names, and their parents. Why, I even know your name, Kalen. Now, would a stranger know that?"
Kalen thought for a moment.
No, I guess not. If you must know the reason why, it's my camera. It's broken."
And just like that, tears filled up in his eyes.
Let me see,"
said the Kipsneed. Kalen handed the camera to him. He examined it and looked at the marvelous photos Kalen took.
"Well, besides the crack on the screen, it looks quite all right."
But then the Kipsneed had an idea.
"Why don't I get the camera fixed for you?" "You can do that?"
asked Kaylin.
Uh-huh, and I know just the place. I have a factory in my home, world where we can go to. It'll be as good as new, and then that way you'll be able to sleep easier.
You can get my camera fixed?
Of course. I'll lead you to the portal. Just follow the sound of my voice.
And with that, the Kipsney disappeared into the night. Kaylin grabbed his camera, walked out of his bedroom and out the front door.
This way,
said the Kipsneed's voice, echoing toward a path. He followed closely behind, snapping photos to mark the way in case of getting lost.
over here,
said the Kipsneed's voice, echoing towards the forest by Kaylin's neighborhood. He started going down the trail of dark trees. At last, Kaylin reached a house. He took a photo of it to make sure he knew where he was.
It seems quite abandoned, he said, and dark.
But then he heard the Kipsneed's voice again, beckoning.
The portal to my home. My home world is inside. Come along.
Kaylin was afraid to go in, but he was also afraid to turn around and go back. He looked at his camera and said,
No, I must get my camera fixed.
So despite his obvious fright, Kaylin marched into the home. Kaylin listened for the sleep fairy's voice, and he heard it coming from a closed door. He went to the door and opened it. He saw the Kipsneed go down into a basement, so Kaylin followed him down the steps. He then stopped right by the huge boiler and looked around. The Kipsneed was nowhere to be seen. The only light showing down there was the window outside, but then Kaylin heard an unfamiliar voice behind him. He turned around slowly, and by complete surprise, a strange man sprinted out of the darkness. Kaylin just so happened to snap one final picture before he fell onto the ground. Some weeks later, authorities discovered the house and the basement. The only thing they found down there was the chopped up legs of Kaylin. The rest of the boy was never found. That was The Kid and the Camera, written by Grumbled Entertainment. Or more specifically, written by Braden Ortiz of Grumbled Entertainment. Well, what did you all think of that one? Neo the Acorn says, "Ooh, leg soup." Ah, yes, indeed so, but definitely I want to ask, have any of you seen the original video, The Kid and the Camera? Because this story is good. It definitely is very chilling, but watching the original video is actually probably the best way to do it. Plum says if anyone is interested, there's a short horror film of it on YouTube. In fact, if I remember correctly, the video came before the story did. This story is essentially just a written down version of the entire video. I think I saw it before, replied Neo. Plum says, and yeah, everything else seems to be, falling in line. That video is very unique. It's not animated in a way that's super spectacular, but at the same time gives off the eeriness of a Five Nights at Freddy's sort of video, where it's not quite animated, but it's also not quite frozen in place either. Not to mention the animation and design of the characters reminisce a lot of like old children entertainments. So you definitely get those messed up horror vibes like "Don't hug me, I'm scared." And that's the one thing I really love about the original video. Because the original video mixes a lot of live pictures along with the animation pictures, it ends up blending from becoming a childhood story about someone who's fond of having their own photo camera to suddenly having it become a story about child abduction. So it becomes very real, very fast, especially in an animation style video. OMG, I was watching Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared earlier. Plum was like, I was like, no way is this an actual kids show. Wait, what's this? Leah says, I've been lying in a position for 4 hours and I can't get up. Leah, are you okay? When you write a sentence like that, part of it sounds funny, but another part of it does sound like it could be something serious. So I'm just going to hope that you're doing all right. And if you actually are stuck, I'd highly recommend contacting somebody to help. Plum says, I was like, there's no way this is an actual show. Let's see, I read that earlier. There we go. Plum says, the logo on the bottom disappeared, and I was like, oh no, something's gonna go down. Oh, why is that? Oh, Leah says, no, I'm not mentally and physically. Wait, really? Physically, you're not okay? Do you need an ambulance? Do you need a hospital? Really? Oh dear. Well then, don't chat here. Contact some help. I'm home alone. Well, yes, or contact some help. If you really can't get up on your own, I highly recommend getting some help. Either calling the emergency services. I have no data. Then how are you chatting? Don't chat here on reality. Use your data and get some help. I have no data. Well then, how are you chatting on reality then? Tiny Toe TV on the bottom. That's it. I laughed based off of the ending. Ah, interesting. I have Wi-Fi and I'm using an iPad right now. Well, in the iPad, you could also contact for help. There's such a thing as Wi-Fi calling as well, or even using a mobile hotspot for your phone. With Wi-Fi, you can definitely keep in contact with anybody, even contacting a family or a friend that may not be with you right now. At least let them know that you're going to be okay. And also, if you do actually need help, I also highly suggest not watching more of the stream and focus more on that. If it's about something emotionally, then that is something that you may need to open up about a little bit later, along with the right people to do it with. Leah says, I can't contact my nan, who I live with, because we use the same account on everything. Well, then is there anybody else you can contact? As for everybody else, I'm just lazy. Okay then. Well then, if you have the ability to be lazy, then I guess it's not too serious then. Just remember to be careful and take care of yourself, okay? That's why I always say at the end of my streams, be lovely to each other and be lovely to yourself. Why are y'all actually worrying about me? Because when you type in the chat, I can't get up for 4 hours and you're physically unable to, that sounds concerning. Oh dear, well, if you don't want us to worry about you, then don't phrase it that way. It sounds super serious, but now that you said that you're lazy, well, now I know it's not actually serious. Oh dear, okay, well, moving on, let's go on to the next story, shall we? I believe I have growing pain in my legs to even worse now. See, things like that worry me. You can't type that into the chat and not expect us to worry, or not expect us to not worry. If you have a growing pain in your legs, then you definitely need to have a professional look at them. Yes, I can. Well, if you are going to be that way, then expect people to be worrying about you. That's just not, it's not a consequence, it's a result. That's just whole IP? What? Oh dear. Okay. Moving on. I believe somebody was waiting for the final story of the night, specifically about a father who started an OnlyFans. That is going to be the finale story, and we are all ready for that one to begin. So, is everyone ready for that story? It's going to be the last one of the night, and let's just say this one's going to be a little bit more in the comedic side, but definitely has something a little more dark and sinister to it as well. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is still a horror story, so don't get fooled by the title. I see, I draw the line of father because WTF, you got kids, Kaylee. Me, yippee, replied Kaylee. Alright then, is everyone ready for the final story to begin? Also, everybody, thank you for the 7,000 likes. I greatly appreciate it. And everybody on YouTube as well. We have 2 viewers who are still there on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I see that the numbers are already looking a lot better here on YouTube, so thank you so much. She called me I'm fine. Okay, perfect. Alright then, Leah is okay. Kaylee is ready. Plum is ready. I think we're ready to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylee says he kills them only on OnlyFans and uses them for the views. I'm not dying, replied Leah. Alright then. Then without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons, this next story is called My Friends Found My Dad's OnlyFans Account, and they're unhealthily obsessed with his posts. Written by The Eagle Strikes, and found in the No Sleep subreddit. Nick, your dad's on OnlyFans. Tom, 25, male, messaged on Discord. What a way to find out. Of course, I, 24-year-old male, rolled my eyes at first. I just seemed like one of those friends' infantile jokes, a playground insult that may have tickled me when I was younger, but I wouldn't have taken my oldest friend seriously if it hadn't been for the link that I received a few moments later. There, my dad, 54 years old male, posed in all of his glory. Not in the nude, thankfully, but far from decent. My father's cover photo depicted him lying provocatively on a faux leotard skin rug, revealing his greasy, matted chest hair through a silk robe of matching black and orange design. It was not a pose that his employer would have found appropriate, and even with the knockoff Ray-Bans covering his eyes, I recognized him. That goofy smile, once so endearing, was edged to me. It felt as if the image was cutting my eyes. What the fuck? I messaged Tom. He replied, I knew Pete was struggling after your mom left, but fuck, mate, that's shit. I always wanted to see Papa Peter's yacht, my other friend Simon, 24, said. Shut up, I replied. What do I do? Do I confront him? You should sub, Simon messaged. Oh, back off, I said. He's kinda right, Nick, Tom said. You need to know what's on there. No, I don't. I really fucking don't, I replied. Then we'll do it, Simon messaged. We? Tom asked. Yeah. Tom, I'll need your emotional support and a bottle of bleach after combing through all these photos and videos. We'll take it in turns. I'd take a look at a post, then you'd look at a post, Simon suggested. Pete had thousands of news. His account dates back to 2020. How about you look at the first photo, let us see the damage, then I'll subscribe if you want to share the burden, Tom asked Simon. Already seen it, my other friend replied. It was weird. What the fuck? You subscribed without telling me? I messaged, feeling betrayed. Sorry, Nick, Simon apologized. Curiosity got the best of me. But don't worry, I didn't see your dad's pectoral hold. Jesus Christ, I replied. Please don't ever say those words again, please. Don't send the photo, please, but describe it. It was worse than a nude. Your dad was licking what looks like a wax arm, and he wore a badge attached to his lapel labeled Mr. Morphophilia. I googled that word. Pete has a fetish for deformed people. Oh, that's not so bad, Tom messaged. I was expecting worse. No offense, Nick, but it was kind of a given that your dad was into some freaky shit. He's an OnlyFans creator.
Pete's page is insane, Simon said. His fans are unhinged, Nick. They're commenting all sorts of degenerate things. I mean, fair play to him. He's got a devoted following, but he might want to get some security because these subscribers are a little too into him. They're giving me psycho vibes. You want me to send you some screenshots?
I said nothing in response. I closed my laptop, curled up into a ball under my duvet, and hoped I would wake hours later to find that the whole thing has just been a bad dream. Or that my friends fooled me. Created some convincing AI images of my father. Perhaps still I knew him, and I knew that level of Simon and Tom foolery, as I often call it, was beneath him. I woke up at around 5 a.m., having only managed to get 3 hours of sleep, and when I opened my laptop, I saw that my friends had continued messaging each other, continued conducting their research. I subscribed. Shit, the next photo is worse.
I know, Simon messaged.
You've seen it? I thought we were going to take it in turns. You know, look at the alternating posts to save our sanity, Tom messaged.
Yeah,
Simon said. I get it, Tom messaged. I feel it too. Nick, I hate to say it, but this is legitimately beautiful. Simon, did you watch the whole video that Pete posted a week ago? It was next fucking level.
I know,
Simon said. I think I recognize that girl. She was in my class at university.
No spoilers. Let's wait until Nick wakes up.
No spoilers. My God, I have not felt this way in a long time. Swado?
Yes.
There was a gap within 1 hour of us not exchanging any messages. I hoped that my friends would have changed the topic after the initial unsettling flurry of opinions on my father's OnlyFans' content. I hoped that they would have said something to remind me that they were my friends, but they didn't. They weren't. This was some practical joke. I knew Tom and Simon well, and this wasn't them. Their conversation resumed at around 4 a.m. It started with a short clip that Tom had attached, and I wish I hasn't played it. The video opened with a shaky shot of my friend's desk. Hello, Nick, he said gently, gleefully giggling behind the camera. On Tom's monitor, I caught a glimpse of my dad's OnlyFans page for a moment. I peeked over the paywall and I felt a pang of agony, the same tension that I felt upon eyeing his cover photo, but twice as painful. even though a phone's camera is the image of an image. Given the chance in my friends, or the change in my friends, I dread to think of what gazing directly upon my father's post would have done to my mind. I don't think I want to know, but it was clear that Tom and Simon had seen something which fundamentally altered their very souls. That flicker of the computer screen, fortunately too hazy to distinguish, seared more into my eyes than it seared my skin from top to toes, stopping just shy of consuming more than just my physical form. I screamed, feeling some unbound force trying to untether my mind from my body. I didn't know that what was happening to me, but I knew that it was the same thing on a lesser scale. That had just happened to my friends. Perhaps Dad brewed the perfect combination of pixels to hypnotize folks into parting with their money. Perhaps he's been consumed by something beyond earthly explanation. I still don't have an answer. I want you to understand, Nick, Tom continued, moving a kitchen knife onto his desk into view. I want you to see that your dad has done a beautiful thing. I'm going to be a part of that thing. I trembled as I realized what was about to happen. My friend placed the camera on the desk, making sure that he was in the shot. No theatrics, no pause, no grand monologue. He seemed to be hurrying, and that's what made it all the more awful. Tom didn't utter a sound as he sawed through his right arm, a sound that even my piercing shriek did not drown. His calm demure, while enduring such pain, almost made me doubt the validity of the footage. But this, his face, was finally in frame. It told me that this was real. There was no faking his ghastly smile accompanied by a tearful jubilant in his eyes. That was not my friend. With an awful squelch of innards and sharp cracking of bones, my friend's forearm came loose, came free like pulled pork, just below the elbow joint. Tom released a triumphant roar as his blade met the blood-soaked wood below. Then he let his severance instrument splash into the growing pool. My friend was shivering, not with agony, but with primal delight, as he lifted the dismembered limb with his remaining hand, lifted the bloody appendage towards the camera. And then the video ends there. My face was painted with snot and tears. I was struggling to breathe through the sharp intakes and releases. Though a throat hoarse from screaming, that was also why when I saw a Discord message from Simon had been removed, I felt relieved. I don't know what my other friends sent, but if it was anything like Tom's video, I do not want to see it. However, the final 3 messages brought my teeth together.
Nick isn't ready for mine,
Simon messaged. No, Tom replied. He isn't, but he felt it for a moment, felt what we felt, and he felt it for free. Simon, for free. What a gift. Do you think Daddy wants him to see?
I think Daddy wants all of us to see.
My garden's motion lighting suddenly sprang to life, and less than a moment later, a rock punctured my bedroom window. It tore like a bullet straight into my room, leaving glass shards on my duvet and a lasting jolt of fear in my chest. Quivering, I shuffled along the bed, then peered around the edge of the window frame, something I immediately regretted. In the garden, stark naked, were Tom and Simon. Without clothes to hide behind, there was no fudging the facts. Under the bright white glare of the garden's lighting, no practical effects would explain the dismemberment of my 2 friends. Tom stood with his right arm absent, and his remaining hand gripping the left handle of the wheelbarrow, and lying in that cart was a bloody mound of mulch and brambles, and that was the still moving body of Simon, a living, breathing body without the arms or the legs, a torso, immobilized, but somehow more alive than ever. Even from the top window of my home, I saw a smile on Simon's face, a face coated in trails of blood from the eyes that he had plucked from their sockets. "Nick," Tom called from below. "I see you." Simon yelled something incoherent, opening his mouth to reveal that he also lacked a tongue. "Simon says it's time for you to see Daddy's page," Tom shouted before pushing the wheelbarrow towards the patio doors. I yelled at the sound of shattering glass. Then I hurriedly stepped into my joggers. I didn't run towards the front door, but I knew I would only meet my two unhinged friends. I tore open the bedroom window, ignoring Tom's delirious cackles. As he dashed through the house, I reached towards the trails of my rear wall, an exterior feature that I was glad to have, that I installed the summer before. "I'm going to have to leave you here for a moment," Tom said to Simon. I heard my other friend release a series of giddy, unintelligible murmurs, the hauntingly happy moans and groans of a man trying to speak without the means to do so. The stairs creaked rapidly as I screamed, as I hurled my body out of the window, fingers weaving through the crisscross structure. The wooden framework of the trails bent and strained under my weight, working fiercely to cling to the wall. I descended at great pace before my makeshift ladder decided to clock out, and halfway down, Tom's bare upper body burst through my bedroom window. He swung an arm and a severed stump to my direction, and if he hadn't dismembered himself, my once friend may have well seized me. But I made it safely to the paveling slabs below, and then I fled. I still want to see Dad. I want to know what he did to the 3,789 people subscribed to his OnlyFans account. Before all of this, we barely spoken in 2 years, but I don't understand what happened to him. Don't understand why my own father would convince thousands of people to do such unthinkably odious things to themselves. I might have never known my dad at all. Maybe he's always been this way. Maybe something has changed in him, much as it changed in my friends. I don't understand any of it. I don't know who my father has become. And I won't be subscribing to his account in order to find out. That was My Friends Found My Dad's OnlyFans account, and they're unhealthily obsessed with his posts. Written by the Eagle Strikes, and found in the No Sleep subreddit. Well, what did you all think of that one? I think that was a very strong finale. Kaylee liked the stream. Thank you very much, Kaylee. Plum says, I had an ADHD moment. What did the dad do? Nothing. In all actuality, throughout the entire story, the father never even showed up in the story. The only thing the father did was start an OnlyFans account. But for some reason, the OnlyFans account drives people mad to the point of where they're chopping off their own arms and legs. Don't know why. That's such an odd premise, but also fascinating to think if one could hypnotize one by creating an OnlyFans account that allowed people to do heinous things to each other, that would absolutely be terrifying in the wrong hands. Neo the Acorn says, I get having a friend with a hot dad, but, like, I'm not chopping my arms off for him. Yes, indeed so. I agree, Neo the Acorn. Leah says, same, and Kaylee says, he's just that slay. Miss Akane became a follower. Hello there, Miss Akane. Plum says, it's an evil, sexy hypnotist OnlyFans. Yes. I do have to say, it is quite funny making the OnlyFans model a male and a dad, because it makes it sound more comedic and less like something horrible is about to happen, which I think is a genius move on the author's part. By having the OnlyFans be a father, a male, and a dad, it sounds more out of the ordinary as compared to, I don't know, some random hot girl on OnlyFans or whatever. Because yes, if a random hot girl were to become a hypnotic sort of siren and was now able to have people chop off their own hands and arms by command, then that wouldn't be too surprising. Having the dad do that absolutely made it a very twist ending. Like the hypnotists that we did as kids to become mermaids, ugh, one over. Plum says, are you ready for the outroduction? Oh, sure, I guess we could do the outroduction. Miss Akane became a follower. Thank you very much, Miss Akane. But yeah, overall, The Eagle Strikes is a great author. Very good pacing, very good plot, and very nice execution, not to mention the amount of gore and detail in this one. Very eerie and very disturbing. Alright then, now without further ado. Leah says I might start writing books. Oh, very nice. Alright, now, without further ado, the outroduction, written by Plum. Thank you all for joining me on this spooky story adventure. The stories tonight were The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, Fitch's Bird by the Brothers Grimm, Pinocchio by Carlo Coelati, and The Kid and the Camera by Breaksin Oritz of Grumbled Entertainment. If you enjoyed this episode of The Black Storybook, be sure to press the follow button on top of your screen. That way you won't miss another stream and episode. Don't forget to visit my bio to follow my other socials and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have your own tales and stories you would like me to read out loud on the show, you can send them through the Discord server and place them in the hashtag Story Suggestions chat. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons, make sure to be lovely to each other and always be lovely to yourself, because you deserve love too. I'll see you all in the next stream. Bye. And, alright then, well done. That's definitely a lot better. The flow is more smooth, and yeah, I guess there's nothing else to do but to actually say our goodbyes and take care. Oh, actually, wait. We're actually really close to 10,000. Can we get to 10,000 really quick? I bet I could read a short story before that. Do you know the story about the Hippodrome Casino? Maybe it's a haunted area you would like to visit one day. The Hippodrome itself in London was opened in 1900s, located at the Lecture Square. The first, there was a circus, which later turned into a music hall and then a theater, then into a nightclub, and finally in 2012 the Hippodrome Casino was operated by Boris Johnson, who at the time was the mayor of London. The haunted history of the place starts in the early years, when it was a music hall and theater. Even at that time, the visitors claimed that they would see ghosts inside the building, which scared them away. Beside this, people also believed that during the 1950s and 80s, while this building was a nightclub, a lot of paranormal activities took place. One of the individuals who was first to believe that the building was haunted claimed that there were ghosts, and it was a production assistant at the nightclub named Rosalind Wilder. According to her, multiple ghosts were lurking around the corners of the building, and she experienced a few strange, unexplainable events that were terrifying. Despite the stories about being haunted, the Hippodrome Casino is still a very popular gambling venue, and a lot of players like to try their luck there. Still, because of the spooky past of this casino, some people prefer to choose its online alternatives that can be found on Bonus Finder UK in order to avoid the terror and enjoy playing casino games in a chill environment. Alright, trying to get it to 15k, heartburn. Finished, replied Plum. There we go, don't mind if I do. Alright then. That is all done. That was just a short little history about the eerie hippodrome. Maybe next time we'll be able to read the entire story of the hippodrome. I'm also still on the YouTube, replied Neo the Acorn. Oh really? Hello there, Neo. Thank you very much for joining still here on the YouTube stream. But yes, like I mentioned before, we are ready to end the night. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely little demons, remember, be lovely to each other, and be lovely to yourself, because you deserve love too. Thank you again, everybody, for the 11,000 likes. I am greatly appreciative of all of you. And thank you for the 2 viewers who joined me on YouTube. This is my first YouTube stream, so it's very nice. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully we'll have some more, and hopefully we could have a chat going on YouTube as well. And yes, thank you again for watching. This is the Liminalist, saying farewell, and until next time. Bye.